Hey, how we doing? Good afternoon,
Hi.
good morning, and good evening.
All those things.
All of the things. How you doing, Mr. Tony?
We won't talk about how I'm doing, but I'm doing good. How's that sound?
You're awake, and do you have coffee? Those are the two most important questions right now. Yes?
Yes.
We're good? That's good.
Yes. I had to send Mrs. off to the doctor, so I get you, Teresa.
Oh, okay. Well, I hope all goes well there. So that'll be good.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
Well, today we're on season 4, episode 4, and today we are talking about. Last week we were talking about leaving home. Today we are talking about getting home. So if you're
Just
stuck
for clarification, did you just say season 4, episode 4?
Yes.
Season 4.
We're on season 4.
I thought we were on season 1, episode 4.
No, we are on season 4 of the Budgeting Lives.
I'm being a smarty pants. Never mind. Go ahead.
Okay.
So, I'm trying.
Yes, very. But anywho, let's say hello to chat. Who's here? Hi, honey. My Urban Homestead. How you doing, darling? It's lovely to see you. Miss Teresa Jukiewicz is in the house. Hey, TJ. How you doing? She is also at the doctor's office.
Yes, I see that.
Yeah, give him hell, hun. So, yes. So, we're going to be covering 3 separate sections of getting home today. One is if you have a breakdown in your car or inclement weather or something like that. 2 is if you're at work and an emergency situation arises. And number 3 is if you are overseas and stuck in an emergency situation. Yep. TJ says she actually likes her nurse practitioner. Good for you. That's awesome. It's good when you can get a good one.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
So we're going to start off with cars today. Now, it doesn't have to be anything big that occurs. It could just be that, hi, Rebecca from Suburban Hillbilly. Hello, darling.
Hello.
Take care. Lurk away.
Oh, take care of your back.
Yeah. It could just be that your car decides to overheat when you're on the motorway or the freeway, and you are going to have to wait 4 or 5 hours for someone to come and get you.
Been there, done that.
Longer. I've been there and done that. I've done that with the kids. And we've been 2 or 3 hours from the nearest town living in Australia with no trees, no coverage, middle of summer, and having to wait 8 hours to be picked up by, the road traffic people, Yeah. The tow truck driver, because I think it was our gearbox just fell out of the car.
So, because everybody has that happen.
Yeah, it does happen at least once, right? So, the gearbox fell out. It landed on the road. We're kind of like, oh, what's happening? Because obviously everything comes to a grinding, screeching halt.
Mm-hmm.
And then we're having to sit on the side of the road because it's the middle of summer.
Mm-hmm.
In the middle
Always when that happens is in the middle of summer.
Yeah. Middle of the motorway, or the freeway, as we call it over there. Yeah. And miles from anywhere. Like literally miles. 2 hours to the nearest town. So, 8 hours we had to wait, and I had 2 small kids.
And in another situation, just to throw it out there, is I'm only where I broke down at. I was only 2 miles away from my house.
Mm-hmm.
But with my back disability, there ain't no way I can walk 2 miles to my house. I'm stuck there.
And you're not pushing the car either, let's be honest.
And I'm not pushing the car either.
No.
Exactly. So you're stuck there.
Yeah.
And yes, I get it. Just get out and walk. Walk a little bit at a time. 100-degree weather, back problems, it ain't happening. I mean, so you have that situation. If I had had the kids with me or the wife with me or my mom with me, definitely would have exacerbated the situation even more. So
yes, absolutely. So, you got to think about what you would do and be prepared for a situation like that. And to be prepared for a situation like that, there's certain things that you need to have available in your car.
Yes.
Things like, I don't know, drinks, food, a tarp, so that you
Or another thing you can do, because I was just sitting here thinking about what we had in the car. I didn't have to because where I happened to park was a little shaded, so it wasn't as bad as it could have been. Like your situation where there's absolutely no shade, no trees, no nothing. Don't forget, blankets can be used as tarps. Kids' blankets can be used as, coverings. Yeah. So, sorry.
Yeah, because you have to make yourself shade, let's be honest. Yes. If you're stuck in the middle of summer, you want shade. If you're stuck in the middle of winter, you want coverage as well, because you need a dry space, and if the car's not safe to sit in, then you can't sit in the car. But you also can't possibly have the engine going to put the heat on either. So you're going to have blankets and stuff like that in the car. Possibly even emergency blankets, like the foil ones we were talking about.
Which do work well for ground covering if you have to use it that way.
So, yes, they do.
Yeah.
And he just said this happened to me over a month ago. Car broke down, called hubby, but he was over an hour away, haven't had a car for a month.
Yeah.
Yeah. Exactly.
It's Patty, so I'll be right back.
Fine. It's all good. So having certain things available. Sorry, my son has now decided to start spam texting me. Give me 2 seconds and I will just tell him I am live. We'll talk after. Lol. There you go. Right. So yes, that was the last one to let me know he got that one. Said no problem. Right. So, okay. Sorry about that. So there are definite government there are government guidelines on this. Let's have a look. Okay. So this is what the government has to say on the matter. I just need to share my screen.
Patty just butt dialed, but you never know, so it's always worth taking the phone call.
That's fine.
Yeah.
Okay. So we're going to share our screen. Here we go.
Oh, I'm so much smaller now.
I know. It's okay. So this is what we have here. This little paragraph here is what we have in the government guidance on their preppers page, okay? Pack a few essential items in your car boot to make sure you're ready in case of getting stuck in wintry weather. This can include a torch, in-car phone charger, warm clothes and blanket, high visibility clothing, jump blades, food and drink, and a shovel for snow. It can also be helpful to keep a first aid kit in your car. Absolutely. Absolutely. I completely agree.
I completely concur.
Yes. Hey, Anne, how you doing, darling? It's lovely to see you. Right, so we just hide that for a minute.
Can I make a suggestion in that as well?
Mm-hmm.
Because I'm sitting here and I'm thinking, okay, a tarp's wonderful. Don't misunderstand me. I think it'd probably be the best thing you could have with you. Some people don't have that space in their car. Some people don't. I mean, or it gets in the way or whatever. Okay. I know you can slip around and slide around on it, but I'm thinking more for summer months. I know that in winter months, especially if it's icy or snowy, you might have to consider something different. But during the summer months, garbage bags work as ground covering or tarping as well. Yes, you just rip them. You don't. It's not a large piece of equipment. It's thin, small, and then when you pull it out, you just cut it and rip it where you need to, and it will provide shade and cover if you need to. So, sorry. Absolutely. Second thing.
Absolutely, they will, and it's a good one because sometimes we have things like plastic bags and garbage bags in the car where we may not have a tarp in the car.
Right, and I'm thinking, if you're looking, with your jumper cables and your oils and things like that, just stuff a couple large garbage bags in there. It's
the other thing is as well that there is a lot of different guidance on putting together car kits. And can I just say, if you got everything that they tell you to have in your car, you'd have no room for people.
No, I agree with that.
I think having a backpack and a toolbox.
I agree.
With whatever will fit in that backpack and toolbox is more than enough. Is more than enough.
If it's not, it's not. And I mean, you can't sit there. It'd be like trying to put your whole house in your car for every what if situation.
Yes, exactly. And you can't do it.
No.
You can try and you can be as good as you can be, but in the end of the day, there's only so much you can do because you're one person. Okay.
If you have children though, and they commonly ride with you, I would suggest a side, even if it's a small pack of maybe some pencils, sketch pads, maybe a couple little snackies that aren't going to go bad in the weather, kind of thing.
Yeah.
Just to have them to help occupy if you do break down.
Yeah. I would also get them used to not having screens in the car. Make it a screen-free space. That includes phones unless it's an absolute emergency. And so kids get used to the fact that they have to look around them, that they have to pay attention to what's on the road, that they have to pay attention to where they are and what they're doing because they're not paying attention to the screens. Okay, because that can actually be really important as well, because in an emergency, they may see something you don't, and they may see it before you see it, because you're looking in one direction, they could be looking off in the other direction, they see it coming before you're going to see it in your peripheral. So it could be something that is life-changing. But it also gets them used to the fact that if there is an emergency and they're away from home, the first thing they don't do is grab a screen, because they have to make up other games in the car.
Right.
But that's just my thing. Okay, so in chat, we've got Anne saying, surviving the heat and you blue. No, we're doing good. It's just very cold over here. It shouldn't be. It's summer, but it is cold. It's got as far as 14 degrees Celsius here, which is 10 was 50. I would say 14 is it's probably in the 60s where you are. So yeah, it's not warm there at all. And it says, I'll be putting a kit together to keep in the back of my car once it's running, or if I have to save up for a used car. Awesome. TJ says she's back. Hello, darling. We took your heat on top of our own then. Yes, you did.
I, on the other hand, think I'm suffering from heat stroke, but that's beside the point.
Yes. We think that Tony has heat stroke, and that wouldn't be too surprising right now, to be fair. And he also says having a bag packed and ready to go is also handy if you have to go to the hospital. I know that my hubby wouldn't have a clue what to pack for me. Also, a book to read is handy if you break down. Yes, all of these things. So what we're going to do is we're going to have a look at what the Red Cross give us as guidance to put an emergency kit together for the car. Okay? So we're going to do that. Screen. Red Cross. Here we go.
I think the other thing that's important is sorry, Blue. I think the other thing that's important is it doesn't matter where any of these lists come from. Make it particular to your situation.
Absolutely. And that's why I've got a couple of different ones. Okay. So I have a few different ones. Some of them are really cool, you know. So we will see how it goes. Because we do have quite a few things to cover today, and I want to make sure that we're not going for like 2 hours again, because poor Tony is suffering, bless him. So yeah, okay, so this is what the Red Cross tells us for an emergency car kit: ice scraper and de-icer. Now, take into consideration that this is written by the British Red Cross and for UK weather, and it is more of a concern here for cold weather issues than it is for hot weather ones. However, can I just say, when the heat really gets going over here, it really gets going, and people over here are very ill prepared for that, and they shouldn't be. So being prepared for as much hot as it is cold, I think is going to have you extra step ahead of everybody else. Okay. A snow shovel. That was on Tanny's list, actually, was a shovel. A map in case you need to find your way around diversions. Yes. Not GPS. We're not talking TwatNav. We are talking a paper map. Okay, a paper map. All right, so that you will know where you're going. Blanket and warm clothes, because obviously if you're in a snowy condition, you know, you need to have warmer clothes because you may not be able to have your car on, your car's broken down or whatever. So you won't have that heat. So having extra warm clothes is going to be important. First aid kit, always important to have in your car anyway. Battery operated torch and spare batteries or a wind up torch. Battery operated radio and spare batteries or a wind up radio, and jump leads. Okay, so I want to say a couple of things on this. I do. You want to say something?
I want to say something, and it's actually what I found from Extreme Heat's safety from the Red Cross in the U.S.
Yeah.
So when we get through this list, can we address it? Because there is something important that I never even thought of that I think is perfect the way that they explain it.
Yeah, that's okay. Okay. So on this, I would just like to say I prefer to have wind-up torches and wind-up radios, and I will tell you for why. If you leave a car with batteries, items in it, number one, if that gets really hot in there, you have a risk of batteries exploding.
Right.
Okay. You don't want that.
No.
That's why you don't keep aerosols in the car either, because they too have a really lovely habit of blowing up. Which
can I make
Hasbro found out when they brought out Barbie with a little aerosol thing not that long ago. People had them in their cars for Christmas, and they were exploding on the back seat.
Can I make a suggestion?
Yeah.
When you have an item that has batteries, okay, this is just a speaker. I'm just using it for example. Say it's a wind-up radio, okay, that has batteries you can put in it.
Yeah.
Take the batteries out of the device and clear tape them around the device. Yeah. But make sure they're separated. That way you won't run into if one of them's corroding, the other one may not. You're saving yourself an issue, and you're not ruining the elements inside the device.
Exactly. And the other option is to remember to bring your car bag out of the car.
Yes.
Each time that you use it, so that you have the opportunity to go through the bag, check things like batteries, etc., to make sure everything's fully charged. that kind of thing. And it's not there as a invitation, shall we say,
right,
to people to break in.
right.
Okay. So we don't want to be keeping stuff in the car all the time, but it needs to be there if we are leaving house in the car. Because we never know what's going to happen around the corner.
Right.
You don't. So, yeah. So my preference is for wind-ups because batteries tend to be really expensive. We tend to keep them around for a long time. We don't actually know how good they are before we put them in something, unless they're rechargeable ones. Rechargeable ones are incredibly expensive.
Right.
So unless it's something that's solar paneled and charged up and has its own little solar panel charger, or is a wind-up version of something, or kinetic in some way, I prefer to use those rather than battery operated. Myself, personally, that is my personal preference for my car, because I don't want things exploding, and I've seen exploding batteries. You know?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so you've got Claire turned up. Claire Burgess, hello, darling. Hey, everyone, not sure how long I'll manage. Dinosaur phone, lol. And says, can I be naked in this heat if I get stuck? Just asking. You do you, boo.
I was just thinking the exact same thing.
You do you, boo.
I ain't going to tell you no, and I'm not going to tell you yes.
No. Can I just say you're better off in a floaty sarong than you would be naked, because the sarong will pull the sweat off your body and act as a cooling agent with any wind that's going, because it will cool off and evaporate on your body, so it'll actually help to cool you off. That's my personal preference, you know. Plus, I don't really want to traumatize anyone who comes to help me. You know, that's my other thought.
Mm-hmm. I agree.
Yeah. Wait, what happened? Oh, you got something to show us.
Oh, I just wanted to put it up there so I didn't forget, because I was moving away from it.
All right. Now, on the topic of jump leads, we're going to...
On jump leads, I'm assuming those are the same thing as jumper cables.
Jumper cables, jump leads, jumper cables, same thing.
Okay, I'm just making sure we were talking the same thing.
Yeah. Now, also, hang on.
I can pull mine down if it's in your way now.
No. It's not in your way. I've got to find something first.
Okay.
I have to find something first. So, once I've found it, I can then share my screen for it. Screen, window. There we go. Right. So...
I need to excuse myself just for a second. Sorry.
That's okay. So, a couple of weeks ago, Tanny and I came out of the supermarket and found that we had a flat. In fact, there was a very nice passerby that told us we had a flat. And I'm like, what do we do? Because I had no idea. I was like, yeah, but do we have a spare? And my idea straight went to, do we have a spare? Turns out, Tanny, being the lovely prepared person he has one of these things, which apparently came with the car. And apparently these come with all Fords. We're not sponsored or affiliated to Ford. I'm not having that conversation today. But they come as standard with any Ford. This is the variety that comes before the brand new ones that you get these days. The brand new ones will come with a connector in the boot, which is filled with a gel that once you fill up your tire with it, will harden so that you can drive home. That's kind of cool. This one is just a little air compressor that attaches into the cigarette lighter. And that's it. And can I just say, 5 minutes. 5 minutes. That's all it took, was 5 minutes. No, Anne. Tanny is my fella, and he is sitting over here. Anne wasn't sure if Tony and I were just friends or if he was sitting beside me on the other side of the room. Shut up, you. No, he's my brother from another mother. So, yeah. See, this, okay, so this fella here, this is my Tanny. This isn't Tony, this is Tanny. And he was my knight in shining armor on this day, and he managed to fix the tire, or at least get us home, where we could then fix the tire without having to get all the jacks out and all the tools out and get the spare out and do all of that. So that was awesome. And that's just one little piece of kit. After seeing that, I've now found these. Now, or Tanny told me about these this afternoon, actually, because I didn't even know they existed. Now, this is a joint piece of equipment for vehicles. Now, it includes your jumper cables and your tire pump, and it's got a work light on it if you need to do nighttime fixings if you're on the side of the road. So it's got a really good work light on it as well. There are ones that are 6-in-1s, but the ones that I could find of those have not got very good reviews. So I would be more than happy to pay that, because these have actually got really good reviews on every site I found them. And they're only like $40. So it's a really good piece of kit to have. And it, even if you use it once, personally, that is cheaper than getting a tow truck anywhere. That is cheaper than getting a tow truck anywhere. And if you only ever use it once, it's paid for itself. That's the way that I think about it. Okay? So having an item like that is probably a standard to have in your backpack or in your car or whatever, is probably a really, really good idea. Because, you know, the two things that go wrong mostly tend to be your battery and your tires. Okay? So, saying that, there is also a thing that we have in Oz that we call bush mechanics. Now, bush mechanics is, sorry, I've got to find the list. There's a, hang on a second. Oh my goodness. Copy. Paste. So bush mechanics is really important. It's about survival on a four-wheel drive. You're fine. If you are stuck in the middle of nowhere, because in Australia you could be literally days from anywhere. Days from anywhere. Mm-hmm. Okay. So it's really important to be able to do what you call bush mechanics over there in a car with whatever you have on hand. Okay, that's the idea of bush mechanics. Now, there are a couple of items that tend to be really important to have in your car in those kinds of situations, because obviously you can't carry every spare that you would need in your car, because it just wouldn't be feasible, let's be honest. So then you have to think about what you would need to repair certain things if they went wrong on your car. Okay? And you were a goodly while away from anywhere. Okay? So one of the things that I used to have in my car in Australia was a bar of soap. Now, I know that sounds really odd.
I'm like, okay.
Okay, but a bar of soap will fix a hole in a radiator. So if a stone is chucked up and put a hole in your radiator and you put the bar of soap on the outside, that will actually seal the hole on the outside to get you to the nearest garage.
That is why I like you. That is an idea I never even thought of in a million years. Can I throw something else out there that would probably work as well?
Absolutely.
What about beeswax? Just a little chunk of beeswax. Yep. Because if it melts, it's going to get in there. And once that cools, it should harden it up.
Absolutely. I mean, one of the things that we also used to be told to do if we were camping and was to make sure that we had an egg handy. Because if we ended up with lots of little holes in the radiator, you can beat the egg and pour it in, and it will literally cook and fill the holes in the radiator to get you to where you're going.
That's hearsay.
No, it's not. Okay. Done it. Yeah. Yeah.
Can I also throw one other thing in there? And everybody's going to be disgusted and grossed out by it, but think about the thought process.
Yeah.
If you're sitting on the side of the road and your rig is broke down because it's overheated, and once it's cooled down, you can't find enough water to fill it up. If you have to go to the bathroom, I wouldn't do it. I wouldn't do it on a regular basis. But if you're in an emergency situation, you are on your own. On your own. Nobody's going to come help you.
Yeah.
Now, I wouldn't recommend it, and the smell is going to be horrendous.
The smell's going to be horrendous. My concern would be the corrosiveness of it.
At that point, most of us are just worried about getting to the next stop that we have to get to. You're not, obviously you would then need to flush it out, go through a whole process.
Yeah.
I'm just throwing it out there.
There is that as a possibility, and in an absolute emergency, that is an option.
Can we clarify? Did you already clarify Anne's question?
Anne's question. Which one? Every time hubby takes out his spare.
Up above there.
Okay. Yes, I did. We sorted that out.
I wasn't here for it, so I thought
it's fine. We sorted that out. Tanny went, off you go then.
Okay.
See ya.
Would you like to look at what I did provide you though?
Yes, I would.
On the share.
I would. What have we got?
Okay, so it's learn how to stay hydrated. And the reason why I bring this up, because it's something most people don't do. Okay.
No.
You need to drink enough water to prevent heat illness. On an average person, it needs to be 3/4 of a gallon of water daily. I think it's a little more depending on that, but that's my own personal thing. Here's the important part. Okay. This is what you need to consider. You can check that you're getting enough water by noting your urine color. Dark yellow may indicate you're not drinking enough water. So many people don't pay it. I know it's gross. I know we don't want to do it, but there's a lot of us that do it, whether you mean to or not. Be watching your urine color, because if it is a darker yellow color, odds are you're dehydrated and you're not getting enough fluids in your body.
Yeah.
I just wanted to throw that out there. Sorry.
No, and that's fine, and that's cool, and that's really important, because a lot of people don't do that, and certainly over here they really don't.
And especially if you're on a 3-4 hour thing and you may have already had issues, just try to keep yourself hydrated. That's the biggest thing for your body.
Yeah. So Anne also says every time hubby takes out his spare, because we're not gonna need it, he gets stuck on highway with a flat.
That's Newton's law, is what that is.
Yeah, that's Sod's law right there.
Okay.
Lucky actually, because most new cars come with a little flimsy spare now.
Yes.
They're only designed to get from
A to B. Yeah.
As quickly as possible.
Yeah. So the spares that are supplied in new cars now are only meant for emergency use. They're not meant to replace the tire. Mm-hmm. That's like, really?
Yeah.
Anne also says my dad had beeswax in his cars always as well. Yep. The other thing that I always have in my car is chewing gum and bubble gum.
Yep.
Okay. So chewing gum for smaller things, bubble gum for big things. So if you've got a hole in your muffler and you need to fix it quickly, could you get out? You're going to do this today. Get out.
Hi, Teddy.
I'm trying really hard to be sensible and professional about this. He's throwing dirty jokes out there because I said muffler.
Dirty jokes. I just started giggling.
Yes, because you're a 5-year-old who just discovered he's got a willy.
What did you just say?
Fuck's sake.
What did you just say?
If you've got a hole in your muffler that you need to fix.
I can't help you with that. That's on your side of the world, not mine.
Right. So, Anne's killing herself. Yes, I have to live with this, love.
Was it me?
Oh.
Okay, so Annie also says, since I'm going to have to move swiftly on for a second so that I can get my composure back, if it rains in the outback, the ground gets really muddy. It's awful red mud that sticks to everything. It is so clay. It's unbelievable. It is awful.
But I do want to throw the disclaimer out for everybody. These things we're talking about, the bubble gum, the eggs, the whatever else. Remember, those are short term, get you to where you need to go kind of to fix this. You're still going to have to work on the problem at some point. But
absolutely.
Hopefully,
this is only to get you to help.
Yes,
safely.
Exactly.
Okay, this is only for that purpose. This is not to replace an actual mechanic. This is called bush mechanics for a reason. Now, there are hundreds and thousands of videos on different bush mechanic fixes.
Yeah.
Most of them will be Aussie videos.
Us older generation and have been around a while, we called it MacGyvering our rigs.
Yes, MacGyvering, but now it's bush mechanics. Okay.
I get it.
So 3 other things that are really, really important with that is gaffer tape or duct tape, cable ties, and WD-40. Cable ties.
Sorry. What are those? Like zip ties?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, zip ties or cable ties.
Okay.
Yeah, so you've got your soap, you've got your gum, you've got cable ties, duct tape, zip ties. You need rope, and because if you go bush and you always have tin food on you, you have to have at least a full tin of something. Now, the reason being for that is if you do blow an exhaust or a muffler, you can eat what's ever in the tin, clean it out, and put it around as a fix with the bubble gum, the tin, and the cable ties or the gaffer tape, preferably the cable ties. It's one way of fixing it. Short term to get you where you need to go, right?
Right.
And absolutely, women's hosiery in the car for emergency fan belt.
My dad did that all the time. Always had pantyhose. He had a new pack of pantyhose in his car. Always. Yes. The egg. That's what he had in his car.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, no, it's a brilliant thing to have in there for emergencies. Now, these are a couple of bush mechanic things I'm going to share with you that are shareable, actually, as part of this bush mechanic or 4-wheel driving blog that I found.
While you're doing that, Annette said that a sharp knife or a pair of scissors is a good idea, too.
Yes. We do have a sharp knife and pair of scissors is always very handy to have in your car as well. Hey, Mike, how you doing, mate? So UK Urban Prepper is in the house. Please do go and follow him if you are not already. You should be. The guy is awesome. Right. So, bush mechanics. Punctured tire. Now, please understand that this is Aussie advice, okay? And the advice on this one is for Aussies specifically, and I will show you what they are talking about. So this is, like I said, this is from Survival Essentials Bush Mechanics, from the sophialog.com. And it says a punctured tire is one of the most common vehicle challenges. With a spare and standard accessories, a flat can be repaired in minutes along the roadside. However, if you don't have spares or a puncture kit, Spinifex, which is a dry spiky grass found in central Australia, can be used to fix the tire. After removing the tires in a tube, densely packed Spinifex into the damaged tire can create sufficient pressure in the chamber in order to enable the car to drive. Now, this is Spinifex. So let's get the big picture up. I want a big picture. What do you mean, no? What is this about? Okay, so basically this stuff's Spinifex. Can we just have a big picture, please? Thank you.
Just one big picture would be nice.
That's exactly right. Okay, so this is Spinifex. This is the grass that they're talking about. And what you would do is absolutely ram your tire filled with this stuff. Now, this is off of a four-wheel driving blog. So, you know, this is the kind of stuff. So if you have a similar plant where you live, you could probably do the same thing. But it's a very hardy, here we go, a hardy plant. Can you see that?
Oh, look, a big picture.
Right. Oh, you freaking thing. Seriously. Oh, do they not know who I am? I have work. It's like, seriously, the serious YouTubers here trying to talk about serious things. Right? So, we are professionals. We know what we're doing.
Excuse me.
Okay. Play your game.
I ain't doing that.
Right. So, if you have a similar plant to this somewhere where you live, I know that there's a grass type thing on the coasts around here that I've seen that is very similar. I'm not sure what it's called, but, you know, play your game. But, you know, this kind of thing can work in a push if you've got no other choice. Okay. So it's an option. Should we just say it's an option?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So now this one, and can I just say again, these are absolute emergency fixes. They are not meant to replace mechanics in any way, shape, or form. They are there to get you to the mechanic as safely as possible.
And neither are either of us or our channels mechanical experts.
Absolutely not. I mean, some of us have done a bit of bush mechanics, and we can do that. But, you know, this stuff is only for use in absolute dire emergency situations. And I'm saying that because this is a replacement for brake fluid. Now, if you have an issue with your brake fluids and they need to be topped up and you can't get to anywhere, say, for example, your brake fluid hose has got a puncture in it, you fix the puncture, but there's no brake fluid left. Okay, so this is a possibility that you can use. Okay, so it's unlikely that a bottle of brake fluid will be hiding under a tuft of Spinifex, which is absolutely true. They don't grow there. But you can use a little bit of laundry powder. And if you mix a few spoonfuls of laundry powder with water, the result will be a viscous liquid that will return the hydraulic system to operation. Note, if you have to resort to this trick, it is important to flush the laundry powder brake fluid and replace it with correct fluid as soon as possible to avoid corroding brake lines. Okay? But that will get you to your bottle of brake fluid. It will. It'll just get you there. Okay. So the next, as I said, these are just absolute dire emergency stuff. So battery failure. A dead battery is probably the second most common vehicle problem. Usually a set of jumper cables in another vehicle or a push start will recharge the dead battery. Push start doesn't work on automatics, by the way. It also doesn't.
Sorry, can I just say one thing?
Yeah.
Push start will not charge the battery.
No, it won't, but it may turn it over.
It will start the engine, but it needs to be run for at least 15 miles to actually get any charge, because it's the alternator what charges the battery.
Yeah, absolutely. Yes. Okay, so often in the bush, neither of these options are available. So the first relies on the presence of another person, and the second requires a momentum build up. Now, if you're on your own and you're stuck in the middle of whoop whoop, then you won't be able to do that. Trust me, you can't do it. So, you have to find another way. Now, one of the ways is to disconnect the battery and warm it by a fire. Do not put it on the fire or within 4 feet of the fire. Okay, you want it at least between 4 and 5 feet of the fire so it doesn't overheat and it doesn't blow up, because then you're really stuffed. Okay, but you let it warm up a little bit. Okay, it is very dangerous to put the car battery right next to the fire. And this should only be attempted as a last resort. Okay. Yeah. So please be aware of that. It's only a last resort thing doing that. Just remember that bush mechanics are not for the faint-hearted, but they are there as a very useful tool for very emergency situations to get you home safely. And sometimes it's easier to find the things to do the bush mechanics than it is to do actual mechanics. Mm-hmm. Because if you don't have a toolbox, but you've got your camping equipment, the chances are you're going to have a bar of soap. You might have an egg or two. You're going to have some chewing gum, probably. Depending on whether you're traveling with Priscilla, will be whether you have pantyhose on you or stockings. But, but there's, you could have some laundry powder on you as well. So, even laundry liquid would work at that point, because laundry liquid is laundry powder that's actually been turned into a liquid. It's exactly the same thing, except it's already been turned into that liquid. So if you do have laundry liquid, and I don't mean the homemade stuff, what I mean is the shop bought stuff, okay? Not the homemade stuff, different thing. So, yeah, but being stranded in the middle of the nowhere is no fun, no joke. And depending on what the weather is like, could be potentially quite deadly and dangerous. So just please make sure that you are fully prepared. Good grief. So let's have a look at chat. Everyone's saying hello to everybody. La 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 la. Oh, thanks, Mike. Yes, please don't forget to hit the like button. It does help. Yep. Yeah, Annie, you should get on there. You should get on the podcast. It's great. Seriously. Annie says you could also look up any 4-wheel drive pages for safety tips. Absolutely. You'd be amazed at how many people get stranded in the Aussie outback without enough supplies, etc. Yes. Yeah. Okay, so I have actually driven across the Nullarbor. Now, the Nullarbor is the big red desert. It takes up most of Australia. It takes 7 days to do this. 7 days. And can I just say, if you are driving 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, to get there, because otherwise it takes 2 weeks to drive across the Nullarbor. So you have one of you driving and one of you sleeping. Someone along the way the car is eventually going to go, yeah, sod off. Forget it. It ain't happening. And the best time to drive across there is nighttime. It's not daytime, because it's way too hot in the day. And if you have the air conditioning going for any amount of time, you're going to take too much charge out of the car and too much power out of the car. And it's going to chew through your petrol too fast, or your diesel too fast. Now, I think it's 3 days drive between gas stations. So you have to make sure that you have enough gas to get you between them. You have to make sure of those things. Yeah, 3 days. And you're muted. Why are you muted? Yeah.
I did it. Sorry. Isaiah came in from a trip. He just got back.
That's okay. It's all good.
Okay. Most of us don't have rigs that are big enough to last gas for 3 days in between petrol stations.
Mm. And over here in the UK, you're probably an hour. I would say you were probably an hour from any petrol station. I don't think there's really anywhere that is more far apart between petrol stations.
Oh, so it takes you 3 days to do the trip, but you got distance of an hour. So
7 days to do the trip, and through the centre, or through parts of the centre, until you get to Alice Springs. That's 3 days, or 3.5 days, from the last pet gas station to Alice Springs.
How many miles is it, out of curiosity?
I'm not entirely sure.
You don't have to look it up. I wouldn't
have a clue, but it's enough. It's enough. Okay. But yeah, it's the kind of thing that you have to do, and you have to make sure that you've got all the stuff that you need. Because if you don't have all the stuff that you need, you're an idiot. You deserve to be out there and getting all kinds of heat stroke, as far as I'm concerned.
Right.
The point is that if you are in a place where you have snow, have things like snow chains for your car. You may only use them once, but it does mean that you get your car in the middle of the A64 or whatever. Do you know what I mean? And having to walk however long to get home. So, it's about making sure that you have the things that are right for your climate and the things that are right. No worries, Mike. Take it easy. Thank you. So, have the things that are actually going to work for you and yours. You don't want to have a bunch of desert equipment if you live, I don't know, in Scotland. Or even here, but you do want to have some gear that is for hot weather. Because
I think the easiest way to say it is
hot weather, it's hot.
Right. It's just base your equipment on climate and season.
Absolutely.
So.
Absolutely. But what I do say is also don't have more than a toolbox and a backpack.
Agree.
For your equipment, because otherwise you've got no room in your car for anything else. And you can go and read 101 different prepper emergency kit articles and watch all of the videos from all of the different people, and every single one of them will have something different. And you'll go, oh, that's a really great idea, and oh, that's a really great idea. One of the ones I read has got flares, it's got reflected triangles, it's got a help sign, it's got all sorts of stuff. I'm sitting there going, if I had all that stuff, there'd be no room for the driver. Do you know what I mean? It's like, come on, 12-foot jump cables. Really? 12-foot jump cables. Why would you need 12-foot jump cables? Do you know what I mean? That to me is like, that's a bit far out as far as I'm concerned, and So just keeping an eye on things and being sensible about what you're doing. Also, do what you can afford.
That was my thing I was just going to throw in. Yeah.
Do what you can afford. If you can afford to do something, do that thing. If you can't afford to do that thing, do what you can afford.
Right.
Because it's better to have one thing than to have nothing.
Yes, I agree.
You know? And that's the important bit. If you have nothing else in your car but a spare blanket, it's probably going to get you a lot further down the road than if you didn't have that blanket. Yeah. Do you know what I mean?
Also take a check, I'd say every 6 months or at least once a year. Yes. Make sure the equipment's good, nothing's cracked, broke, not working, all that kind of stuff. Because if you don't use it, it has a tendency to break down. So
yes. And if you have battery operated equipment, I would swap the batteries out every 3 months.
Check the blankets, make sure mice haven't gotten into it or eaten it or insects or other things.
And the dogs haven't peed on them, and the kids haven't vomited on them. And all other things, because, no one knows what's going to happen to it.
Right.
So, Right. So, that's enough about cars.
Okay.
Let's talk about if you're at work and you need to get home.
Bye-bye. I have to go home.
Yeah. That is what. So, say, for example, an emergency situation arises and the public transport, for whatever reason, has been shut down. Okay. It could just be they're striking. It could just be like train strikes. It could be train and driver strikes. It could be any of the above.
Could be malfunctions.
It could be malfunctions. Could be that there is an accident on the road that isn't going to be cleared because it's major for several hours, maybe days, because it is that substantial. It could be anything like that. It could just be inclement weather. It could be something more. Well, let's just look at the realism at the moment.
Something less.
Okay. So, for example, if you live in a city or a town that has a lot of electric vehicles like tramways and inner suburban train lines and electric buses and stuff like that, and the grid goes down for whatever reason, there's a blackout. Okay. They're shut down too. So automatically, what's going to happen first?
Panic is going to set in.
Oh no, panic's. Well, there is going to be that element of panic because if you're working in a high-rise building, the lifts will be shut down.
Yep.
Okay. Hey, AR Patriot, how are you, darling? Good to see you.
Hello, Elliot.
So, the first thing's going to happen is the lifts aren't going to work. So you're going to have to walk yourself down the stairs. Now, if you've worn your heels to work and you don't have a spare pair of trainers in your bag, by the time you got to the bottom of those stairs, your feet are going to be screwed. You're going to be absolutely screwed. So it's always a good idea to have a pair of trainers in your bag, if nothing else. Or, reasonably comfortable walking shoes of some description, So always have something like that on, just in case you can't use your escalators or the lifts or whatever reason. Taxis are the first ones that are going to be booked solidly.
Right.
In that kind of situation, because we're just talking about a blackout. Okay, we're not talking about a grid down situation. We're just talking about just having a blackout because I don't know, maybe 30 trucks have come in that needed to be charged because some idiot decided it'd be a good idea to have electric trucks. Okay, so they've kind of stolen all the electric for the main city and no one can leave. So the first thing must be prepared, honestly. And that's what we're talking about. It is what we're talking about. What am I talking about? I don't know what we're talking about half the time. Okay, so number one, the taxis are going to be the first ones that are booked up solid. Everyone's going to want one. If they haven't brought their car to work, everyone who's coming on public transport, everyone's going to want a taxi home. Everyone. So, you know, you're going to be waiting 6, 7, 8 hours for a taxi home because everyone will be book solid.
Well, the honesty of it is don't count on the taxi. That's not going to be your
don't count on taxis at all. And that goes for Uber or any of the other private driving companies. They'll all be absolutely chock-a-blocks, and that means the roads will be chock-a-blocks because it will be everybody else trying to leave the city as well to get home. So anyone who actually did bring their car, who could afford the parking, which isn't many around here, I'll tell you, are going to be fighting with the taxis to get home. That's the honesty of it. So then you have to look at how far you live away from where you are. Okay. So at that point, you've got to look at, is it safe to get back? I mean, the ideal would be that you already have 3 different ways that you could get home.
And I was going to say that is the important part, is have a backup plan for the backup plan for the backup plan.
Yeah. You want to have about 3 different ways that you can get home on Shank's pony, which is basically walking. Okay. So if you can walk it, that's what you want to be doing. But you want to be doing it in the safest possible way. And if that means down roads that have got a lot of street lighting, if it's the evening time, yes, there's a blackout, but there's going to be more people around in those areas that will be able to see if anything's going on. Having things like a headlamp or some kind of, high-vis kind of strapping on a chest plate with a body cam, so that helps to keep you safe as well, is possibly a really good plan. But these are just getting yourself home from your job, your daily job. If Tanny had got himself stuck in the middle of nowhere in that kind of situation, they were all told to go home. He's in the work vehicle, so he would have what he has on him anyway. So, he would just have to look at that and do what he would normally do in an emergency in a car, but with the work vehicle. So it's just about getting yourself home safe, making sure that you've got like a bottle of water. You may need to have a couple of snacks on you to get you home, depending on how far you live away. I wouldn't probably do that if I lived within like 6 miles. I would have water, or I'd have something to drink, but I probably wouldn't have snacks if I lived within 6 miles of where I worked. Anything more than that, I would definitely be looking at having something that I would need to eat on the way, because as much as you can walk, the average walking is 6 miles an hour. The average walking speed is 6 miles an hour. Doesn't mean you're going to make it that way, because if everyone else is in chaos, that's going to put a damper on which way you can go. And if you have to change direction and go to plan B or plan C, that's going to slow you down even further. So just being aware and having, good walking equipment for your feet, possibly a change of clothes in your bag that's going to be not business wear, if that's what you have to wear for work. So like a pair of jeans, trainers or whatever, and a t-shirt that's just going to keep you looking normal and inconspicuous is enough, to be honest. If you feel the need to have something on you that is going to keep you a bit safe, if you're just walking to and from work, the best thing that I can offer you, and the best thing that is actually legal, is a can of spray deodorant. that's what's illegal over here. You can use a can of spray deodorant. You know, and if it really gets feisty, make sure you have a lighter on you as well. Because if a spray in the face doesn't work, lighting that bugger up is really going to make them go backwards.
Just for an example.
For an example. You know, I'm just saying. You know, and they're things you can keep inconspicuously on your person. So, and they're not illegal. And you have the right to defend yourself. And if you need to do it that way, then you do it that way.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? But don't come crying to me if people get upset with you doing that, okay? I'm just giving options here. It doesn't mean that you have to take them.
Be an adult about it.
Be an adult about it. Absolutely be an adult about it. Okay? If you are in a situation where you are stuck in your heels, for whatever reason, you might be on a night out. Okay? Make sure those heels work to your advantage.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? Those things are... Yes. Work those to your advantage. That's all I'm saying. If you don't know what I mean, go back and watch the movie Elvira. That's all I'm saying. Okay?
Elvira.
Then you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. Okay? But yeah, just having the basics, having like a little go pack to go to and from work with is always a really good idea.
Right.
What's a night out? Yeah, Annie, I don't remember that either, sweetheart. And I always had docks. I went out in docks. I didn't go out in heels. I had a couple of pairs of heeled boots, but mostly I had docks when I went out. So
the big 24-meter tall boots?
No, Doc Martens Airwear, thank you.
Oh, not the boots.
They're boots. They're knee-high boots. They were knee-high boots. Or halfway up my calf.
That's what I said, and you started giving me a puzzled look on your face.
Well, the ones you're talking about go up to your thigh, don't you? That's a completely...
No, I'm not talking about hooker wear. No. That's not what I said. Move on. Sorry.
So yeah, go back to last week's and have a look at having go bags, because having one for work that is useful for work is really important. But it's only having the very, very necessity-based things that you would need to walk yourself home.
Yeah.
Okay. That's the bottom line. But always make sure that you've got a paper map and have at least 3 or 4 different ways home that you can mark on it. That to me is really important.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, because some of them might be safer ways to go than others, and some of them may take you near friends, and if you need to drop in at friends because that's going to be the safest option for you, at least you have that option.
Yeah.
Okay, so until things calm down a bit. So yeah, that would be my suggestion on that, to be honest. So yeah, that's those. Now, do you have anything else to add?
No, I think you hit it on. I mean, to have it there just in case, that's what you need.
Yeah. Yeah. The last thing that we want to hit on is if you're stuck away from home in another country and something goes horribly wrong, and what you need to do. Okay? Number one, before you even go, you need to check out what's going on in that country, because if you're going to a country that is known to have internal conflicts and other stuff going on around it, in it, or anywhere close to it, be aware you could be stuck in it.
I think before you even do that, you need to look at another thing, which kind of goes along the same lines, but it's more specific. Whatever country you're originating from, does the country you're going to have problems with people from the originating country?
Absolutely.
Just because for example, if I go to Egypt and Egypt has a problem with Americans, but they don't have problems with people from the UK people are going to have a far less problem than somebody from America. You knowing what that surrounding is when you get there is going to be your best bet. And I would reconsider going, but that's me,
Egypt is not somewhere that I would go anytime soon.
No.
Okay, there's too much going on.
I used it
close by, and I absolutely understand what you're saying. But that's my personal thing would be, even though the travel agents are selling tickets to still go, I would be telling them to whistle.
So the primary issue I'm trying to get across: know the country you're going to.
Yes.
Know how they're handling people of your nationality or origination. Know what the relationship style is between the two countries. That's your best.
Know the cultural layout and laws of that country. Know them. Because I will tell you now, if Tanny and I went to Egypt, it would be illegal for us to share a bedroom. We would have to have separate rooms or get a special marriage license.
Because they're not married legally.
Because we are not legally married, therefore we would not be allowed to sleep in the same room as each other.
That's right.
That automatically, to me, leaves me feeling a little bit uneasy.
I was going to say that in itself makes me, and I'm married, that makes me worried about going there, if that's the way they control people.
Yeah, but that's Sharia law.
However, no, I get it. I get it. If you don't know the culture and the beliefs in the culture and the laws in the culture, and you go with the ugly American approach from America,
or the ugly British approach from Britain, because it's just as ugly. Let's just be honest here. That's why Spain's kicking off.
Yes, but the point being is, if you take into your own thought process that life is perfect and I will function just normally without knowing it, you may find yourself in a bad position.
Oh, yes.
So that's what I'm trying to say.
You also need to make sure that if you are female, specifically if you are female, you need to find out what the laws surrounding you and your dress code need to be. If you need to be covered, then you need to be covered. You don't just walk into somebody else's country and go, well, I'm from here, so therefore you need to let me do me. When you turn around in your own country and turn around and say, well, you have to act like us, and then go to theirs and go, but I'm British. Yeah. But it's true. Hey, Scottish Prepper, how you doing? Guys, you need to go follow Scottish Prepper 73. He's awesome. He's really awesome, down to earth, brilliant advice, fantastic guy.
Just got his
collection of Frey Bentos. Can I just tell you? I'm just like, and he openly has it. He
What, 5?
Yeah. When he's doing his lives, you see it, right? When you see it, and it's like this tower of it's kind of a joke. Yes, he's got all your Yorkshire pudding tins. My wife should be covered up. I've told her this many times.
But I think the reality of the whole thing is you knowing who you are,
to know where you're going,
and what the country is. Right.
Yes.
Yeah.
I have a Pepsi and pie issue.
I think the other thing is too, before you go, and you brought this up earlier, but I want to make sure we hit on it, which I'm sure you would have. Know where the embassies are to the country you're going. If they don't have an embassy from your country, I would not go.
If the country that you are going to does not have a consulate or a consulate general or an embassy or an embassy that works for them, because sometimes smaller countries double up and work together in smaller countries so that they're not expending too many people. So make sure that you know where you can go. Have those numbers on hand always. Also, if you are going to another country, you need to have a list of your medical stuff. The other thing you need to know as well is if you are traveling out, people's laws on different medication are very, very different to ours. Okay? If you are traveling overseas and you have very specific medication that could be classed as Class A or Class B medication, you need to have a written letter from your doctor to say what it is then. Okay? And why you have it. You need to have a letter explaining why you have certain medications on you. Otherwise, you may end up being arrested. Because you're carrying certain medications.
The other thing that I would do too with that is if I'm taking my medications, I'm taking my whole entire medication. I'm taking a month's worth of medication.
Yes.
And that way the prescription is with the medication and there's no question as to what it is. Make sure you have your doctor's note, your doctor's information, pharmacy information, the reason you're taking it, all of that.
Yes.
So you don't get thrown in the gulag because you're taking your ibuprofen or whatever it is and it's prescribed to you.
So, but the basic issue with this is this, right? During lockdown, people got stranded in other countries. They shut their borders. You weren't allowed to come in or out. There were other countries that would let you out, but others that wouldn't let you out either. Okay? Mm-hmm. So there were some people that were stuck in other countries for 3 to 6 months. Now, if you've got medication that you need to have, then you need to have that month's supply with your letter from your doctor with the prescription to go to your consulate or embassy to have help organizing medication in the country you're stuck in. So that is something that's really, really important as well, because you can't just walk into someone else's country with a prescription they don't recognize and expect to get medication, because it ain't going to happen.
And a perfect example of it, I'm just throwing this out as example. I don't know that this is the case, but make sure you have access to your medication before going in that country. You can go in there, just example, say you're taking metformin for diabetes, okay? Yeah. You go into, I don't know, Pakistan. Do you know Pakistan's going to be able to provide you with metformin if you're stuck there more than 30 days past the time you have it? You have no idea if they have that kind of medication there or not.
No. So this is something that you need to do. Yeah, you need to do your research before you go anywhere, and you need to know where your outs are, where any sort of emergency plan from coming from that country home again is. Now, most government websites will have information on this. Yeah. But I would look on the actual websites of the consulates for those countries in those countries, because it could be completely different information.
Exactly.
Okay.
I like what Scottish Prepper just said.
Yeah. Don't you think folks lose their common sense when they go abroad? They do stupid shit they wouldn't do in their own country. Exactly. Okay.
Most people that go and travel abroad to other countries go with that entitlement approach. I'm a tourist, so everybody should be treating me like a god. No, that's not how it works. You're going into somebody else's home. You need to take consideration to their way of doing things.
Places like Portugal, Spain, there's parts of like Cyprus, Greece, Turkey, that have specifically British tourist areas built specifically for British tourists.
I just find that amazing that
because they don't want them in the rest of their country, because they behave so badly and have done for so long that they don't want anything, that the normal populace want nothing to do with them. And that's
so out of curiosity, and I think curiosity question, and I think I've asked you this before. If they have a British section, let's say I'm from say I'm not from America, because I would assume they got their own section for that too. Or maybe not. But I mean, so are just British tourists treated that way?
No, there are other tourists that are treated that way. And if you go across Asia, like places like China, Singapore, Thailand, Cambodia, they, in their big hotels, like their big hotels, we're talking massive ones, you know, the first 3 to 5 levels will be for Asian tourists. Okay. And then you'll have the next 2 levels will be for British tourists. The next 2 levels will be for American tourists. And the top one's obviously for those who can afford it. But they do it in that way because certain people want certain things in the room and expect to have certain things in the room, and others don't.
I look at it this way. If I'm going to Thailand or Singapore or whatever, I deal with the way they have it set up because that's their accommodations.
Yes. Yeah, Brian, you're right. Parts of the UAE are like that, tolerance zones for tourists. Absolutely. Yeah.
Wow.
There's parts of
Anyways,
Dubai.
Get to know the country you're going to, get to know what you're going into, get to know the laws and the regulations, what you're allowed to do, what you're not allowed to do, what the expectation from you as a tourist is.
Yes.
Get to know where the bad areas to stay out of are and the good areas to probably magnate towards.
And don't go there and be a cockwomble.
No, I agree with that 100%.
No. Okay, you are a guest in someone else's country. Behave like it.
Yes.
You know, just because you paid money to get in a ticket and hired a room in a hotel doesn't make you any more entitled to to any other kind of treatment than, you know, if you hired a room for an hour with a hooker. Okay, so that's just, you're not any more entitled to any kind of behavior. So just suck it up, behave yourself, and everyone can have a good time. Okay?
Agree.
If I'm going to Thailand, wife better not find out. £5 from a Scottish prepper. Character saying you rock whilst showing their pumped bicep. Oh, dude! Seriously? Oh my gosh! I think that's the first time. Serious? Did you? Wait, hang on. I'm gonna have to check this because I'm like, what? Really? Hang on. Hold, please.
I think you got a thing.
I think I might have got a thing. I think that might be my first thing. I might have. Oh gosh, shush. I did. Dude. Oh, thank you so much for that. That's my very first one.
Sure.
Awesome. Thank you so much, mate. I've really appreciated. No worries. Go and enjoy it. And we will see you later. Thank you so much for being here. It's been awesome. So that is how you get home safely, or how we suggest you get home safely. There you go.
Are you a little happy?
Oh, that is awesome.
Yes.
That is awesome. Cool. Thank you so much. Yeah. So, honestly, be sensible. Mm-hmm. Have the stuff on you that's going to help you. You know, like I said, I am putting together the pack for Patreons and for Etsy. I will be setting up the membership for this channel shortly because I can do that. But it will be set up exactly like Patreon is. Mm-hmm. So, you know, I'm just saying that, and it won't be any different from Patreon, to be honest, because I can't handle more than, you know, that right now. The Self-Reliant Sundays are going to be starting off on Sunday. My first video is coming out on there on Sunday. It is a long one, so you're going to have to get your brew and you're going to have to put your feet up, and you're just going to have to sit there while I rattle on about all things discount supermarkets and whether they are actually worth the price of buying some of your preps from there. Okay. And we'll just see how it goes from there. All right. So more stuff coming. Thank you so much, Tony, for joining me today. I have very much enjoyed it. That's okay. Thank you, everyone who came in. You are awesome. I really appreciate you. And just stay safe out there, guys, and just stay prepared, because it's always a just in case, right? And it doesn't matter. We're not talking about big volcanoes erupting and, the sky is falling and all that kind of stuff. Life happens. Yes. At the end of the day, life happens, and we just want to be prepared for, life.
Yes.
Because, life happens. Okay, so you stay safe, guys, and we will talk to you again very, very soon. I will be live on Mr. Tony's.
Assuming the sickness I have doesn't take me over, but as of right now, yes, we will.
Yes, so that's 4 a.m. BST for those who want to know from the UK. And what time?
8 p.m. PST from the US.
Okay, so it'll be over on Kettle Kitchen's channel, and the link should be down below in the description. I'm pretty sure. Anywho, see you then.
Bye.
See you later. Bye.